So I'm going to say that I'm in the need to hire a private dick.
Yeah, please,
Hmm?
please do.
Yeah.
Can you do it in your Minds of Madness voice too, please?
I'd have something like so I can talk like this. Hey guys, I got a case for you, and I need to hire the Private Dick Podcast.
Hey, look, we have a customer, guys. He came in. Isn't this nice?
I mean, yeah, he came in, but we've been talking to him inside of his home. This is the first time we've done an on-site solved.
Yep, in the studio of Team Madness.
Yeah, you know, the one with the motorized floor.
Yes. If you can solve this, we'll do the motorized floor trick.
Thank you.
I like that. What do you got for us?
I'm really curious. I need to know what happened to the Betz Sphere. Apparently it's gone, it's disappeared. Something happened to it when the Betz family first found it. And I just want to know, guys, can you tell me, did they break it? What happened to it? And where is it now?
Furthermore, what is it?
I have never heard of it. I also wonder what it is.
I know exactly. I already looked this up a long time ago.
Richard spends all of his time just solving cases at random, and it always happens that people come in with one he's already solved. Because that's all he does day and night. Go on Wikipedia and Reddit.
And solve the
Yeah.
Yeah, look up unsolved mysteries.
Right
Those
on.
are my two main sources, Reddit and Wikipedia, every time. So I got this.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Today, our mystery brings us to Florida in the 70s. Jacksonville, Florida. We're near Jacksonville, Florida. I love Florida stories. Like my favorite.
We actually have a map, an interactive map on our website. And for every case that we cover, it puts a pin on it.
Okay.
And Florida is just completely pinned.
You just get we have Tyler Allen here from Minds of Madness podcast. I love that you guys do that. That's such a great idea, making an interactive map. I've never been to your website, but I listen to your podcast. I love your podcast. I'm glad you're here and happy to solve this for you. Yeah, so Florida. I love Florida. No murder this time, guys, though. Sorry. That's what Florida usually there's a good murder in Florida. No murder today. Sorry.
I wanted to pick something non-murderish. I deal with that too much.
Yeah, I know. I threw it out to you like supernatural, and you were like right away. So perfect. Jacksonville, Florida, and Florida in general has some crazy paranormal stories. Just in general, like if you Google like paranormal Jacksonville, Florida, you'll find like endless lists of haunted houses and abduction sites and stuff you can visit in that area. So it's chock full of stuff. And one of the lesser known ones that I didn't know about this one until Tyler brought it up to me was one of the Betz Sphere. It kind of sounds like a Getz beer. Nobody's heard of it, but the name alone makes it seem intriguing.
Aha!
You could go for one of those.
You need a Getz beer? Go grab one. I wrote insert simile here, so I didn't really do a good job.
Simile?
Yeah, I'm done. Moving on. That's what I mean.
Do
I'm
you
done.
mean rhyme?
Before we talk about the Sphere, let's talk about the Betz family. They live actually on Fort St. George Island, which is about a 30-minute drive northeast of Jacksonville, 23 miles, 37 kilometers. Jerry and Antoine Betz were like the adults, the parents in this one. Jerry was the 12th of 14 kids. And by the time she was 15 years old, both of her parents passed away. Her mother died of a stroke when she was 10, and her dad died of a heart attack 5 years later. It's not like she was left alone. He like remarried in that time. They were tobacco farmers, and that's all she basically did as a kid was like pick tobacco for her dad and mom so she could pay rent. Like brutal. I looked up tobacco farming and it doesn't
Are
look
we
fun.
just gonna gloss over 14 kids?
We can talk about it if you want. It's the 1930s, so it's
I said
not that out of.
They're all probably picking the tobacco. They needed the people to help on the farm.
The farm hands, yeah.
That feels true.
That's still wild though, because like if it's the 30s, that doesn't help prove the point because you know goddamn well infant mortality was higher then than it is now. So how many did they like burn through to get to 14?
How many survived? Do you mean? I'm gonna say most. They never.
Well,
said
obviously
anything
14, but I mean,
You're
So there was,
saying
like-
there could have been,
imagine being pregnant for that long. Like
yeah. No.
oh, it's your whole life, yeah.
that's brutal. Yeah, I don't know what to say. 12, that's a lot of kids, but like no birth control and like, I don't know, it just seems like it happened a lot more back then, especially on a farm. You're right, Tyler. Like, we need someone to pick this old tobacco. They keep dying of cancer by 15, so we need another one. Like,
There you go.
yeah, so she's born in 1933, not sure the month. Even though she had a stepmother, Jerry had a few younger siblings that she became the de facto mother to, meaning she just had to grow up a lot faster than most kids. I bet you back then it's kind of more normal, but like, I don't know, 15 to take care of two kids and like seems like a lot, even back then.
I mean, it just depends on how poor and stupid your parents are because it happens in abundance today. But
I guess that's true too.
probably a lot in Florida still.
More than most. Yeah, she got married early. She got married at 16 or whatever. She had three kids by the time she was 20. I think she was pregnant at 16, so like not long after both her parents were gone. Her kids' names were Latricia, Terry, and Rob. I just thought Latricia was a funny name for 1930, whatever, 1940, maybe 45, 46. Her first husband was an electrician, but he also had like a side job and he owned his own truck and trailer. She had to work two jobs too because the guy was like, I don't know. I guess he wasn't the best at with money, but she was really good with it. By the early 50s, her husband was about to lose his truck and trailer to the bank. So she saved it by co-signing for a loan. Like I said, this is the 50s. He was abusive. And after she bought the truck and trailer from him, they got a divorce. And she was left with like her two little shitty jobs and a truck and trailer and a loan. So she like went into, I don't know what you'd call it, like survival mode, I guess. And like, I need a truck driver now. So she would go like as like, I don't know, 22, 23-year-old, go to these seedy truck stops in the 50s, like walking in there being like, I have a truck and trailer. Does anyone want to work for me? Which I find is crazy for the 1950s. Like these truckers probably were, yeah, I'll take a job from you, lady. Like, you know what I mean? Oh God, a blow job.
Ugh.
It worked though for her. She got like a bunch of lucrative contracts. One of the first one was hauling chicken. She was bragging about hauling chicken, which I love. It's just, I don't know why it makes me laugh so much. It's just my first big contract's taking chicken breasts across state. Great. I love it. In a couple of years, she's thriving. She had bought actually like, I think 9 rigs a couple of years later, and she was the owner of a fleet. All the money that she'd earned with the truck driving, she invested in real estate, and she made a killing over the years with her dealings with that. By 1963, she marries a guy named Antoine Getz. So she's 30. The day Antoine and Jerry got married, he headed out to sea. He was the chief engineer on a shipping container ship. The ship he scottied on was called the American Apollo.
Scottied?
Yeah, like chief engineer. Scotty. Anyways.
Oh God! I thought it was like a real. I was so confused.
No,
I
it's
was
just
like,
me being stupid.
No, that was clever. Don't count yourself out. You were stupid other times, but not that time.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm so dumb. I don't even know when I'm being dumb. All right. Yeah, the American Apollo, you can look it up. It was state of the art at the time. It was one of the fastest shipping container ships. It's decommissioned now, but I went and looked. It exists. Antoine had 2 children from a previous marriage. One named Janice, and I don't know why they didn't say the name of the other one in the article. They went Janice. They had 2 kids, Janice. And I was like, okay, I can't find the other one. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. But Jerry and Antoine had one of their own kids in 1964 named Denise. So that's 6 kids running around the house. Another main Betz character is Jerry's first son, Terry. Terry was pre-med by the time the family finds the sphere. Pretty smart dude, going to college and stuff. Through this whole ordeal, Terry is the guy who does most of the traveling with the sphere, just because Jerry and Terry gets confusing after a while. So whenever they're bringing it somewhere, Terry's the one bringing it. Whenever they're talking to like officials or newspapers, it's Jerry. She's the one took charge of like all the information going out. I'd be remiss not to tell you guys a little bit more about Jerry, because Jerry was just like a crazy lady, like so smart. She had her hands in all sorts of different work. Like, first of all, okay, when she started buying diesel trucks, she started to like read the manuals and like read up on diesel engines and stuff like that just to understand how they worked. And then she did this so like if a driver ever called her with like a breakdown, she could just walk them through the repairs. She would do repairs herself they got in. She would take the trucks out for hauls if a guy called in sick or something. Pretty crazy lady for the 50s, 60s, I think. She also had no post-secondary education at all. She actually went to college and she had to drop out because her youngest kid fell out of a tree onto a car and the antenna for the car went through his head, giving him fucking brain damage. So she had to drop out. Like, fuck, that's scary. She had no post-secondary. What are we laughing at?
That's just like such a freak accident.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even explain? That's why your kid's like brain dead.
It's brain damage. It's not
Like, I
dead.
mean, you'd have to just like, I mean, but come on. I mean, there's no way he was okay.
No, for sure. That sounds fucking deadly. Like, that's the worst day of your life, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like just chilling in a chair with the TV on, and that's it, right?
What do you mean?
Well, like
That's
the
what he
kind
does
of like
now?
brain damage. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no way it's like functional.
I forget what they said. Like, honestly, I should have written it down. I just wanted to say brain damage. I know you're gonna question what it was. I think it's like I think he's functioning. He's just not 100%.
That's wild.
Said, was he even still alive? Is he still alive now?
Oh yeah, he was alive for sure. That's why she had to like stay at home because he was still around. Yeah, but she's like busy doing other things too. Like even though engineering degree, she invented a water purifying system that was used at one of her clients' place of business so they could save their chicken farm because all their chicken, the chicken farm play. I guess the water was shitty, and she figured out a way to purify it for them with like no filters. Just being some lady who just figures stuff out quickly.
I mean, it's clean now. Yeah, just drink it. You're good now.
I
No
don't know.
filters, nothing. Just
It's called imagination.
yeah.
Yes, I mentioned
My
that.
girlfriend can do that too.
Antoine and Jerry bought a castle-looking mansion on Fort George Island that was in disrepair and made it their family home in 1968. It's also known as the Neff House, if anyone wants to go look it up. It's got its own like weird seedy history behind it with some paranormal shit like ghosts and stuff like that. But we're not going to talk about that too much today, but it exists.
Do you know how mad I'd be if my single mom and her new boyfriend bought a rundown castle for me and my 13 siblings to live in?
Why? I think you'd be pumped.
One of whom is now disabled from a car antenna and probably can't adequately navigate a castle. They don't necessarily make castles accessible.
It's not that big. It's an impressive house, but it's not that big.
They make it sound like it's super.
Wow, I heard castle.
They call it a castle. I'll show you pictures.
I was thinking like moats and.
Well, it's abandoned.
Now it's abandoned. Yeah, I'll show you the photos that exist nowadays. The abandoned photos. I don't know. It's not. It's impressive to a point. I agree. It's not like.
I would like to live in a house that big.
Before I saw these photos, I thought it was way bigger. By the way they describe it, it looks way bigger than that. It's super abandoned now. I think they're the last people to live in it. It's got like a little tower thing.
I don't know. That is very big for a house.
For sure.
Not a castle, but.
It's just called the castle because of
Yeah, I don't know, but when you put it into the perspective of like there's 15 people in there.
Oh yeah, that's tiny as shit.
Yeah.
There isn't a single house big enough for 15 or 16 people.
There's 6 or 7. Like they have 6 kids
plus. Did you see that? They still had the crayons on the wall from the car antenna kid.
Yeah, I did see. Anyways, that's literally the best pictures. I tried to go on Google Earth to find it, and I'm sure it's there somewhere, but fuck man, there's no address to it. Like I wanted to go or walk around it kind of thing, but it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like I said, it's nicknamed the castle. It had 21 rooms, 6 bedrooms, a master lounge, a Florida room. Does anyone know what a Florida room is?
It's like what do you call them? Sunrooms?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I was like, what the fuck's this? Is this where you kill someone? I was like, is that a murder room? It's a Florida room.
It's a screened room so you can like hang out and not get bugged by insects and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a sunroom.
Yeah, it's also the room in the house where you get mad at poor people and say the N-word and do meth. You know, Florida things. In the
real Florida room. I gotcha. Yeah, so Florida garden room, playroom, shop, den, 20-foot closet, basement that they described it as looked like a dungeon, which castle-like, I guess. Yeah, that little tower thing. Jerry said she used to like to go up there and like look out at the bush, the woods. What else can I tell you about Jerry? Oh yeah, she ran for state office in 1974, which she lost, but it was 1974. This is all during the time the Sphere stuff's happening too. So this is like, in addition to all the Sphere thing I'm about to tell you, she was running for office in the background.
What position?
What did they say? State office is that's what they said. I'm like, what does that mean? State office? Is that something in America? Like, is that a thing? Like state office? Americans?
No idea.
You're Canadian with me, Tyler Allen. These two are Americans.
Yeah, but like there's state government and then there's federal government, just the same way that there's like local government versus state
But
government.
my point is they didn't really specify exactly what state office she was running. They just said state office. Like there's
Probably just legislature because there's like a Congress for every state too.
I gotcha. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this one story about Jerry fighting the city of Jacksonville over its buying a private bus company. She didn't like agree with how much it was going to cost the taxpayers. She said, if you guys are going to buy something that expensive, you got to like ask your voters. She like collected signatures to try and get city council members removed who supported the purchase. And this case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Jerry ended up being a plaintiff, and she refused to answer the city lawyer's questions regarding where she got all her information about the private bus company's finances. And she, in the Supreme Court, refused to answer any questions, stating that she'd rather go to jail than reveal her source, which that's pretty fucking ballsy, if you ask me, telling a Supreme Court to fuck off. City still bought the bus line, but like that's just the kind of lady she was.
But did they have to wait until it went all the way to the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Oh, so it got delayed for a while.
Yeah, she did. She fought it to the best of her ability. She kept buying and selling land. The Betts were prominent landowners in the Jacksonville area, still are. All this backstory just to tell you that Jerry Betts is an amazing woman. Not only that, I want you to understand that these people aren't just like country bumpkins looking for attention or money or anything like that. These are just, they literally come onto the Sphere wanting to know what it is. That's it. That's all. They don't need any more attention. Like Jerry brings them enough attention just being Jerry. Let's fast forward to March 27th, 1974. Antoine, Jerry, and the 21-year-old Terry are out inspecting some damage done by a small brush fire near their property on Fort St. George Island. They had 88 acres of land, and it was valuable to them because this was basically a cash crop for them. It was pine trees, and they were grown to make paper at the nearby paper mill. A fire on the cash crop is like a big deal to them, so they want to go check it out. So as they're walking down a fire line, which is basically like just a big gap in the forest that's bulldozed over so that if there is a fire, a tree falls over, it can't like burn the rest of it. So this is not like a road or anything. They're in a fucking bush line where they're walking down the fire line, and Terry in the far distance sees something he thinks is like a metal sphere, which it ends up being. He gets there, he gets closer, he sees it sitting in the grass. The trees above it were broken about halfway down, like as if like a windstorm or something had gone and like broken just the top parts of the tree. Now, if anyone asks, before you guys ask, the sphere does not look like it fell from the sky. According to Terry, there was no indent in the grass. It looks like it just rolled there. The sphere is also not said to be the source of the fire on the land either. It wasn't even near the fire. It was about 2 kilometers away. It wasn't hot. It just happens that was the day they found the sphere. They're pretty deep in woods. Like I said, the sphere was about the size of a bowling ball. It was shiny, but it was full of scratches as if it like rolled on concrete. At first, they had no clue what it was. They thought that maybe it was some sort of space junk that had fallen.
They thought it was a cannonball from the Spanish War.
Yeah, they thought that too, but according to Jerry, she said, "Oh, it's space junk" right away. That's their first thought. I'm like, I don't know. That's fucking. It's not the first time space debris fallen on Earth, but like perfect sphere.
No impact crater.
Yeah, and then also to say like space junk as if it's just something from outer space, like that
Yes.
is so bold.
Yeah, it's. I guess it was. See, we don't have the same like space exploration shit like that was kind of newish, not super new, but like Sputnik 1 had just fallen out of space like a couple, like I guess 10 years before, and they had Skylab up there. Like, do you guys remember Skylab, the little space station America had?
What was the date when it came down? It was in the 70s.
It was 79 it fell, but they had just evacuated it in February, like about a month before they found the ball, because it was going to get pulled back into the atmosphere. So it was on people's minds that shit was going to fall from the sky. So I understand it kind of, but like they knew it wasn't going to be for another couple of years that Skylab was going to get pulled in, but still.
I heard a really interesting fact about that. And mind you, it could be utter BS, but I heard that every single person on Earth has a certain amount of mercury in them, compliments of Skylab.
Oh yeah,
Oh, right on.
Right on.
Yeah, I went into the app. Now, I heard that, but it could be absolute bullshit. You got to look that up.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather it be from Skylab than like Dow Chemical or something. I'm glad that it's space.
yeah, me too. I'd rather it than like my chicken. You know what I mean? Like just my food I'm consuming. That'd be better.
Because I had salmon once. Now I have part mercury. That's stupid.
It feels weird. So now that I've never heard of Skylab before, but I looked into it. How crazy is it that they were only able to keep it up there for 6 years?
Yeah.
And nowadays we just have satellites just constantly stuck up there.
Well, that's because we understand gravitational belts better. You know, like there's the Clark belt where they put all the satellites up and everything. And
I'm just saying it's bold to launch before you understand how that works. Like, fuck it, send it up. What's it gonna do? Come back down at us?
That's very American, though. That's not a shock.
True. I mean, I commend them, patriots, of course, but
like I also read because I was looking at this shit coming back. Apparently, like time's limited for most shit up there. Like it's hard for us to keep stuff in orbit for a long time. Like it's going to be up there for 20, 30, 40 years, but shit will eventually make its way back because we can't just keep it there.
Yeah, there's no hope at like avoiding something like orbit decaying or like I can't remember what the other word is for it to like go outwards because like you can't perfectly be. You can find that equilibrium, I think, in like a observable or like you wouldn't be able to notice a difference. It's like marginal, but like realistically, if you're like one hair here, one hair there, it's gonna happen.
For sure. And the way the Earth kind of squishes itself as the like moon goes around, it's hard to even calculate it.
Yep.
Right. Anyways,
I'm surprised at myself not knowing how the orbit works, but I can guarantee you before the next recording, I will know everything about how the orbit works. I have to keep myself from searching for it right now.
I was just gonna say, and he's gonna know next time because he's gonna look it up right now.
I'm like forcibly closing all of that.
One of the most frightening parts about it is that when debris is up there, it'll just keep hitting each other and breaking everything down into smaller pieces. And you've got all these broken satellites up there, and eventually we're going to have so much debris that by the time if we have to evacuate the Earth, and this is a theory, not mine. By the time we would have to, leave on spaceships, we may not even be able to get through because of all the debris field up there.
All the junk up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is all because Jerry wouldn't tell the Supreme Court who her source was. That's crazy.
Fucking Jerry, what a badass.
Damn. This is a good time for me to just note that I have Jerry's phone number if we want to call her. She posted it online once. I'm assuming it's still the same one.
You know what? Call her. No, I'm just joking. Don't call Jerry Betz. Leave her alone.
Oh, this is her phone number from 18 days ago. It's the one.
She did make a quote for the Astonishing Legends podcast. She did send an email to them. She didn't get interviewed, but she sent a quote for it. Just talk about her experience.
It's a little scary that she put her phone number on here and it says 18 days ago. That one's yikes.
I do this a bit later, but I'll just do it now. I do want to thank Astonishing Legends and Oddball, another podcast. I was having a hard time. I wrote this whole script up.
Oh, Oddball's awesome.
Yeah, Oddball's wicked. I was just having a hard time with timelining this thing with the information that's out there. They helped me organize this in a proper straight line because it's fucking all over the place. So I do want to thank them.
Yeah, they're my favorite podcast.
Astonishing Legends? Yeah, it's a great podcast.
We've cross-promoted each other before.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Okay, so they discount the whole like space junk thing because they never heard anything from anyone that this would be happening. And there's Jacksonville Naval Air Station. This is not far from where they were. They went, oh, Naval Air Station. They went to their next logical thought was like, maybe this fell out of like an airplane. Maybe this is something to do with a plane.
Yeah, that's just their sphere. Nobody's gonna ask what the fuck the sphere is for. Just it might belong to them.
Then they went to something silly. Their third thought was maybe it's just some sort of old cannonball that someone got silver plated for whatever reason, like bronzing a baby shoe, like stealing it up an old cannonball.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Fort St. George Island has a huge history with the Spanish back to the 16th century. So conquistadors shooting cannons.
Did your parents never silver your cannonball after they bronzed your baby
Yeah,
shoes?
exactly. I never got a. That's what privilege sounds like, RJ. Obviously privileged.
Dude, I mean, that's me. I was born with a silver cannonball in my ass.
I didn't mean to set it up that way, but perfect setup. All right. So Terry looks at this thing. He says, this is cool. He's going to bring it home, pick it up. They shake it. You could hear something kind of clinking around inside of it, kind of like broken glass. Shiny ball ended up coming home, just looked at by the family for a couple days, kind of cool, or for I guess like a day or two. Kind of looked nice, sat in the middle of the living room. Terry's like, this thing's mine, brings it up to his attic bedroom, placed it on a chair near the window. A couple days later, Terry starts playing his electric guitar for his girlfriend, Teresa Frazier, in his room. As he plays the guitar, the sphere seems to resonate strangely to the music, like a tuning fork.
Sure it did. It's just such a guy playing guitar for his girlfriend thing to happen. And as I was there playing Wonderwall for her, the sphere started vibrating, bro.
Yeah, that's what he says. He's playing guitar and starts making a weird hum, like it's reacting to the strum of guitar, like as if it's trying to mimic the sound that he's playing, like mimic the note. Then he starts to notice like the sphere moving around, and he puts it on the ground and he like pushes it away from him. It's rolls, but it's like not just like rolling, it's like deliberately moving. It's like stopping and changing directions. So Terry would roll the sphere away, it would stop, vibrate or hum or whatever, and then turn and then roll back to Terry. Then he gets his girlfriend to do it. Like, holy fuck, that was weird. So you roll it away. She rolls it away, and it would go back to her. So you get the whole family doing it. Whoever pushed it away or whoever rolled it away would go back to that person every time. They say they had it rolling around there for like 12 minutes straight at one point, which I find that's a fucking long time to just watch this little sphere rolling around the fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
Terry then puts the sphere, like they're experimenting with this thing now because it's doing weird shit. So Terry puts it on his glass coffee table and pushes it so it's going to fall like off the edge. It rolls right to the edge of the table, stops in its tracks, like as if it didn't want to fall, like it had some sort of sentience or like survival instinct to it. There's one time they're rolling it on the table where it like goes around the table. It's a rectangle table, and it goes to each corner of the table and then like keeps like swirling around until it gets to the middle of the table and then stops, which is pretty fucking crazy. Terry shows his dad, who's an engineer. Antoine starts taking measurements of everything. He's like, is this table level? He gets out the level like a dad, you know, like this thing's level. He's like, hits it with a hammer. Antoine, they say, comes up. He hits it with a hammer as hard as he can. It makes a pinging sound, which like I feel like hitting a big metal ball with a hammer is going to make a big pinging sound. I think that's the sound.
I'm not hitting a sentient ball ever. If I see a ball move around, we good. We good.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a baby transformer or something.
Yeah, it's a transformer egg.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny. Yeah. Jet Scream's the bird, right?
Yeah, dude.
It's a plane.
No, yeah, he's a plane. Fucking bird.
Then they put it up. Birds aren't real. They put the table up on like an angle, and they watch the thing roll up the fucking table on like a 45-degree, which that's where it gets real crazy to me. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's defying gravity now.
Yeah, but what's the first thing if you actually see that happen and you're not just making it up? What's the first thing you do? I'm not just like, okay, cool, back to normal life. I got a fucking magical ball here. I'm taking it straight to like a friend at the FBI or something. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know how it ended up here, but that's just straight trouble.
Hold on. Raise your hand if you have a friend in the FBI.
50, all right, well, 50 odds better than I thought was happening too.
Statistically, very unlikely.
Okay, well, listen, everybody at the FBI are all of our friends, so feel free to ask them for help if you ever need it.
That is patently false.
Oh my God. I knew you were government. Anyways, it rolls up. That's probably the craziest thing it did, rolled up like the coffee table. There's other things it does too. So at some point, there's reports where it says this thing is like active during sunlight hours or like called solar powered, which astonishing legends. They talked to a family member who says that's not what happened. They said they left the ball outside for a long time and it got really hot and it didn't cool down again for like 3 days, which I find is another crazy thing in itself. Something stays hot for fucking 3 days, like it retains the heat like that it's pretty wild too. It's not as like sexy as like it rolling around a table somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it's not as cool, but it is cool.
That's an interesting choice of word.
It's something so hot it's cool or sexy.
No, sexy.
Well, I mean like sexy in a story kind of way.
I know how you meant it. It's just, that was a choice. That was deliberate.
Yeah, okay. I did. Sexy is in my script here, so you're right. I did choose it. Another story about the sphere. It's not the craziest thing. The rolling around is the craziest thing. But another thing is that they had a toy poodle, and it was brought over near the sphere to like get photos taken beside it for perspective for when the media shows up eventually.
Oh, yeah, because everybody knows the size of our fucking poodle.
Well, it gives you a better size. It gives you a better
Put a
size.
fucking banana next to the thing. Come on.
Well, I sure. I guess bananas are more uniform.
In the 70s, the poodle was the international unit of measurement.
That tracks.
It was 0.35 poodles.
Hey, as long as it's not meters, I'm happy.
You're like, how far is that? I don't know, about 12 poodles.
There's also internationally the sexiest dog.
I know what way you meant that.
No, I just meant like, it's like a real like tantalizing dog.
I know what you meant. I'm cool with it. No judgment. So they put the poodle beside the thing and it starts wincing and covering its ears, like as if there's some sort of ultrasonic sound that humans can't hear, but dogs can hear emanating from it. And another weird story that the Getz family member said in that astonishing legend said that it seemed to get more and more magnetic. It was magnetic, but it seemed to get more and more magnetic the more it rolled around. So like if you just took the thing out and put it on the coffee table and there was like, I don't know, a little piece of metal, it wouldn't even stick, but you roll it around a bit, it'd stick. And then if you rolled around for like do it a bunch, you could put something like, she used the example of a lid for a fucking mayonnaise jar, which I found was funny, like of all the things. She said she couldn't even pull it off. Like it was stuck on there so hard. So magnetic, ultrasonic sounds, moving on its own.
Organ music.
Organ music, that stuff comes up in a bit, yeah. So they start to worry what's going to happen with this thing at night. Like, is it going to roll away on its own? Is it going to like disappear on us? So they put it in a bowling ball bag, which it's always in the bowling ball bag now. If it's getting moved around, it's in the bowling ball bag, which I find hilarious. I love it because anywhere it goes, like even if like a big fucking MUFON nerds walking around thinking they know what's out there, they're walking around with a bowling ball bag. This thing, I love it. I don't know why that's a fun detail to me. Then other weird shit starts happening around the house, Tyler. Doors in the house start slamming themselves. Organ music starts to fill their house. There's not even an organ in the house, but like they say it's loud too. It's not just like in the distance, it's loud, like wakes them up and shit like that. But they said this stuff happened before the sphere even came. This is like other paranormal stuff that has to do with the ghosts from the Neff house. I'm thinking, because of the way they describe that stuff was happening prior to the sphere. So maybe it made the ghost pissed that there's aliens there. Like only one paranormal thing in this house. So they started playing the organ music louder. But yeah.
The ball was getting more attention.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, man. I've been playing organ music for 3 years and it rolled uphill. Big fucking deal. Like it's a super mad fucking ghost. But the organ music being loud like that was like apparently Antoine and Jerry's last straw with this fucking thing. They wanted to figure out what the ball was desperately. They knew they had something special, but they didn't know what it was. So Jerry gets her son-in-law, who's a cop, to watch the sphere over the first weekend. They decided to tell the ball existed because they didn't want someone to come in and steal it right away. They knew they had something that should be protected. And people started hearing about it. They started talking about it, and a local radio host, Ron Kivett, who had a show on a paranormal phenomena on the radio, got word of the sphere, and he was one of the first people to go to the Betz's house to actually check it out. During Kivett's visit, he claims to have seen the ball move around on its own, and he heard it hum to music. Later that night on a show, Kivett started telling people his wild story and claiming that the sphere couldn't possibly be from Earth. He dubbed it, quote, a device created by some cosmic intelligence for an opaque purpose. Okay. Just right away, it's from space. It's got to be. I love that. I love paranormal people. They're my favorite. Like people that are like right into it, just wholeheartedly believe right instantaneously. Which it is crazy, but like to go rally the people like that, I find it's crazy. Anyways, after the little local radio host, newspapers started hearing about the Betz ball, and they want to go check out this peculiar story. The Jacksonville Journal is the first like real media source that heads to the Betz house, and they send a photographer, Lou Egner, to check out the mysterious sphere. Apparently, Lou Agner was like surly about the whole thing right away. He just gets there and he's like, just show me the fucking ball. I got to get out of here. This is stupid. Like, he's just right away, this is dumb. And they pull out the ball, do a bunch of tricks with it, and change his mind right away. He's no longer a skeptic. He went back and wrote an article about how this ball moved in itself, where they found it, gave the kind of the first rundown of the entire story. And that was printed in the Jacksonville Journal on April 9th. About, I guess, a week and a half after it was found. And it came kind of like a media sensation. All sorts of other media outlets started picking up the story. And the Sphere went national on April 12th, 3 days after its little local release. Apparently, they kind of like throw this, like they say it's just perfect timing that this thing got a national story out of it. It's just because it was Easter weekend. It was slow news day. And everyone was sick of like reporting on Watergate. So they're like, oh, I got a cool little story here about a sphere. Yeah. Went national anyways. Now, originally, if you're reading these articles, like you can find most of the articles online if you want to have them put in the show notes too, but you can like see how at first the reporters and everyone that's reporting on this are very open to it being anything like military, whatever. Later on, they change their tone to like, the Betzes are crazy, but at first they're on board. It could be anything, which I find very interesting. A couple days later, but I think it was the 13th, 14th, it became international news. So much so that Antoine was out on the ocean and he was near Japan. He'd go back and forth from Japan. And one of his guy, like the radio guy, was like, hey, Chief Scotty, get in here. Listen to this. And you could hear his wife on Japanese radio talking about the sphere. So it moved pretty fast. So lots of people start to want to actually see the sphere because of its oddity. So much so that like their phone was ringing off the hook. Like you couldn't hang. As soon as you hung it up, it would ring again. So like they had to leave their phone off the hook to just like get a bit of peace and quiet. One guy that came to see it was a guy named Carl Williston, and he was from what is called Omega -1, a research firm in Baton Rouge. Omega -1 doesn't sound real. I went and looked it up. I don't think it's real. Carl Williston apparently is real. I've also seen, or I heard from the Astonishing Legends that he was from the University of Florida, which also sounds fake to me. There's no way there's a university in Florida. Take that, Florida, you fucks.
Got him, dude.
I know you got him. I fucking
Ron
got him.
DeSantis is crying.
Williston apparently gets 6 hours testing this thing. And after his little testing, he claims that the sphere had a magnetic field, which was already pretty much known, and was transmitting radio waves. That's all he really said. He's wanted to kind of get more work done on it, but Jerry was like, I don't know, buddy, you from Omega 1 doesn't seem pretty good. But no one could really provide any clear answers. So the Navy started calling them, and they wanted to look at the sphere too. And they wanted to do some tests as well. So Jerry, wanting to know answers, said, sure. But this is where the mystery gets curious to me, like overall, because like the Navy calls them looking for it, and NASA too, apparently. Like, why the fuck is the Navy care about a giant ball that moves around?
Oh,
like,
they want one, they want to know if it was actually true, and if it was true, they wanted to know if it was like a Russian weapon, something that fell out of the sky while they were doing flyovers. 100%.
that's probably true. I didn't think of that. It's probably because of Russia. They wanted to. It's Cold War time, so they're probably like, what the fuck are they dropping on us?
I'm surprised that they called an ass. I'm surprised that they didn't just show up
Yeah, no, apparently they called a bunch.
and like take it.
So they come to the house because Jerry said, I'm not going to you. You come to me. And they say, we want to take it and do some tests. Jerry's like, I don't know. This is mine. She starts to fucking quote treasure finding laws and shit like that, being like, I have finders keepers, bitches. You want to take it? You got to sign this contract. So she writes up this contract saying you can take it for 2 weeks, do whatever tests you can as long as you don't damage it. Give her. The only thing that they were allowed to damage was take like a file swipe of the side of it so they could do some spectrographic testing on it. Other than that, no breaking it, please. So they take the sphere. they agree, which I find crazy too. The Navy's like, sure, if it's, oh yeah, that's the other stipulation. She said, if you find out it's yours, you can have it. And if it's a danger to anyone, then you guys can like take care of the danger. I don't want to be a part of the day. But if it's no danger and it's not yours, I want it back. So they take it for 2 weeks. This is where they get the accurate measurements of it. So it's 7.96 inches or 20.2 centimeters diameter and weighs 21.34 pounds or 9.67 kilograms. They do some x-rays. At first, the x-ray machine they had on base wasn't powerful enough, couldn't penetrate the sphere. So they apparently bring it to, there's another Navy air base not that far from there that had a bigger x-ray machine. They used the stronger x-ray machine, and they see that it does have some things on the inside. They look like little spheres. They find out that it's hollow, only half an inch thick. If you want to see the x-rays, actually, I'll show you the x-rays because it's more interesting than I...
Yeah, I want one.
You want a Betz Sphere?
I just want a sphere, yeah, that's gonna roll around all the time. I don't care if it plays the organ at night.
So here's the x-ray that Astonishing Legends got. It's like a photocopy, and then they do a bunch of like enhancing, I guess, like the guy in the van, like enhance. Yeah, it's hollow, and you can see the three little, like one's a bigger one, and there's two little spheres. If you're looking at it, they describe this bigger. There's a bigger spherical. It's not a sphere. It's more of a blob. There's two little spheres, but they say this one here has like, it looks like antennas or something coming off of it. I don't really see it. Like, do you guys see that? They say it's antennae.
I mean, it just looks like a glare.
Yeah, it looks like an old piece of paper that's been fucked around with a bunch of times to enhance. You know, and that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
But there is clearly something inside.
Yeah, but the Betzes are specialized in identifying antennas, so I'm going to trust their judgment.
Fair.
That's true. They just get the kid. Is this the one that got your head?
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the x-ray. This is where I was going to thank the Astonishing Legends because they got the x-ray from the family. The Navy gets their file swipe to do some metallurgical testing. The results find that the sphere is plain old earthly stainless steel. The alloy is identified as stainless steel 431. 431 has been successfully used in a variety of aircraft and general industrial applications. Mostly, it's very strong. It's used for pressure applications usually. The sphere, they said, could withstand 120,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, which seems like what the stainless steel would be used for. The Navy also found through the x-ray that the sphere was seamless. Like if you look at that x-ray, there's no line through it or anything like that. It looks like just one big ball. They also found that there was a tiny triangle etched into it that was about 3 millimeters long. Some people say etched, some people say it was just like a chip off of it, but that was the only real big deformity of the whole thing. Otherwise, it was a pretty perfect sphere, pretty balanced. After 2 weeks, the Navy says that they call Jerry up and they go, well, we want to keep that for a little longer because we need to do more tests. We actually want to cut it in half and see what's on the inside. Jerry's like, absolutely not. I want that thing back as soon as possible. I have this contract here or I'll be suing you or whatever the fuck her threat was. This is a little bit murky on how they get it back because the Navy, if they wanted it to just cut it in half, they would have just done it. Like, what are they fucking scared of getting sued by Jerry Betz? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? So they say that the Betz family claims that like one of the younger officers kind of like, I don't know, it might have been a long weekend or something, just brought it back, not knowing it should have stayed because they brought it back. The CPO brought it back to their house. And he gave them the ball and he gave them like a manila folder with the x-rays in them and like a brief report with all the stuff I just said, the size, all that kind of stuff.
It really feels like there's like a Disney movie here in the background that we're just not seeing. You know what I mean? The ball was like their friend. It like had an actual personality that only like the kids and the mom could see. And then it's very E.T. The military take it and then at like the last minute like, oh, one guy in there just happened to forget and bring it back. Nah, he was the last second hero at the end of the movie.
You're gonna think this is way more Disney-esque by the end of this because there is a crazy Disney part. Like now that you're saying that, you're right. It gets worse.
Was Flubber also a Disney movie? Are we about to learn about Flubber?
I hope it's Flubber on the
No,
inside.
but this does smack of Flubber as well.
I can't even remember that movie. It was like jelly that made stuff fly or something, right?
Yeah, we were too old for that. That movie was like still younger than me. Like I remember it because I had little siblings, but it wouldn't have been what I wanted to watch at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's disappointing. You guys are acting like you don't also watch Flubber once a week with all of your friends.
Sorry, dude, I don't. I wish I did. I will now.
It's the best movie.
I'm gonna defer to not agreeing with that and move on.
There's not a better movie, but fine.
Okay, fair enough. Fuck Shawshank.
Name one other movie.
Rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she thinks some lower level guy brings it without checking with his superiors because he gets a call apparently when he drops it off, or they've been calling all day. Apparently, her house being like, "Did Corporal what's his nuts get there?" She's like, "Not yet. He'll be here soon. Get him to call me as soon as he gets there." And as soon as he gets there, they give him the thing, and she goes, "Oh, your boss is calling." And he called back, and they're like, "Yes, sir. I'll try, sir." That's all she hears. Like, so it sounds like he brought it back in error, and it was hard for them to just, anyways, whatever. She got it back.
He's on the phone with him, and he's like, "Yes, sir. I'll try, sir." And then he gives the mom a coy wink. as the boss smiles and hugs her leg.
The report says, which they also tell the media, that it's from Earth, very earthly made, and the fact it was rolling around is because there's uneven floors at the old mansion out in the middle of nowhere. That's it. Uneven floors. So they tell the press. After this is when the press changes, like shifts how they're reporting. Now basically insinuating that Jerry and the rest of the Betzes can't let go and still want to believe it's from space. Like Jerry never ever said she thought it was extraterrestrial. She just said that like, if there's no other explanation, that's just as logical as all the other ones. Like it could be from space, it could be from anywhere.
I wouldn't say it's just as logical as all the other ones.
Well, it's there.
It's not space junk. It's family.
So during the slurry of newspaper reports, famous ufologist Dr. J. Allen Hynek gets word of the sphere and wants to examine it. Dr. Hynek was an astronomer at Northwestern University. He also lived in the Chicago area. Yeah, I say astronomer, but what I mean is one of the most famous ufologists of all time. Ufologists? I don't know how people say it. They get mad at me. Either way, I'm going to get it wrong.
It's all right. It's not a real thing.
I agree. So he founded what's SUFOS, which is the Center for UFO Study in 1973, and UFOs and aliens were his life work. In the late 40s, all the way through most of the 60s, Hynek actually worked for the Air Force. He started by being scientific consultant on Project Sign. Project Sign was created to examine UFO sightings. That shut down a couple years later, and it moved into Project Grudge, which was basically the same thing, and then it eventually ending as one of the most famous government UFO projects, Project Blue Book. He was the scientific consultant for that. So basically the X-Files. Like his job, early in Dr. Hynek's career, he was skeptical of the UFO reports, and it was quoted as saying, "The whole subject seems utterly ridiculous, and it's a fad, and it's going to go away soon."
But didn't they hired him as the debunker?
Yeah, that's what his job was. The Air Force loved him. He debunked, and that's what he was paid for. So he's basically Scully from the X-Files. You know, that's what her job was. He's just like a less good-looking Scully.
Ooh, burn.
Take that, Hynek. He looks like fucking Colonel Sanders. If you look him up, he looks like a fucking Colonel Sanders. He's the guy that came up with the swamp gas theory. Like we all know the swamp gas thing. He said that for one flap that happened. He said, "Oh, it's just a swamp gas," and that kind of stuck. Later on in his career, he's pissed that it actually stuck. He's like, that could have happened for that singular flap. Not all UFOs is swamp gas, motherfuckers. But yeah, he also invented like the encounters of the whatever kind, like the close encounter scale. So he invented like the way to debunk aliens every time, and like the scale on how you interact with aliens. Like I said, he changed his mind years later about UFOs, and it was because he saw like so many people talking about UFOs. He just said that it was too much for him to discount. He thought it was going to go away, and it just got more and more prevalent. And he's quoted as saying like, science shouldn't be based in ridicule, it should be based in facts. So like people just saying it's stupid, well, look at the evidence. Doesn't mean it's stupid every time. He wants to be open-minded about the whole thing. Anyways, by the mid to late 60s, while still working for the government as their debunker, it was an open secret that Hynek actually believed what he was debunking. And by the end of the 60s, he was done with the Project Blue Book, and he went a different direction. He started SUFON in 73. The first time Hynek went public with his belief in UFOs was at a MUFON annual symposium in 1973, the year before the spheres made around. I fucking love MUFON and SUFON and APRO and all these like places, these UFO civilian research groups, like the Tom DeLonge one, To the Stars. I love that shit. These guys are out there. They're fighting the good fight for like no money at all. Like the only thing you get for looking for UFOs, you're just getting made fun of. That's all. So I love these guys. They make me happy. Yeah, Hynek's at one of these MUFON, which is Mutual UFO Network, one of the conferences being like, I believe I work for the government. I believe. And then there's another guy named Dr. Harder, who's a pretty big player in this as well. He's another ufologist. He worked for a group called APRO, which is Aerial Phenomenal Research Organization. Yeah, they just all these groups just investigate, and they were part of it. So cool. Hynek's officially a UFO believer. See, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people were skeptical about Hynek actually being a believer too. They were saying that maybe he still worked for the government, like just on the low key, trying to like debunk them from inside their little organizations. Like that's what Dr. Harder, Dr. Alan Harder or whatever, another UFO guy, he's like telling the Getz or the Betz. Yeah, I kept writing Getz in this thing because of fucking your last name. It's Betz. The Betz family were warned by this Dr. Harder that like he might be a double agent. But yeah, we'll talk about why that could be a possibility a little later on. Hynek, let's just pretend he's fucking into this, whatever. So he's there. I might do a full Hynek episode one day because I find his life super interesting, but that's what we're getting for Hynek today. Hynek tells the Betzes that he wants to examine the sphere. He wants it shipped to Chicago where he is. She's like, no. So he goes to Florida. Hynek gets all the tricks shown to him. He's in awe about the whole thing. Then he asks, and I'm quoting this, not missaying it at all. Hynek asks the Betzes if he can take the sphere and sleep with it. Yeah, that's what he says. Can I sleep with it? I don't know if he wanted to fuck the ball. I'm not sure. I think he just wanted to like sleep in the same bed as it, but I mean, why say it that way?
You didn't lie, dude. You said it was sexy, and obviously people agreed.
He actually like goes to the Betzes and he sleeps at their house. He stays at their house to like investigate this thing. That's how much he's like invested in this fucking ball. Like Jerry says she wakes up one night while he's staying there and he's like up in the middle of the night with all his tools out, like looking at this thing, which is cool. And now Hynek, not only did he have Sufon, he did his own stuff at the university, he's also part of the Blue Ribbon science team for the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer, where we get all the best news. So the National Enquirer read about the sphere too, and they were calling the Betzes nonstop to look at the sphere. They wanted Jerry to ship the thing to them as well. Jerry said she wasn't going to ship it to them. If they wanted to come see it, they have to come see her, like everybody else. Then they say, why don't we send our private jet down to Florida, Jacksonville, and we'll come pick it up. And Hynek was there, I guess, when they're doing the offer, and he says, you should do it. This is a great idea. They have like a thing out right now. They want to find out if there's aliens or extraterrestrial evidence at all, and if you can prove it, they'll pay you $50,000. All you have to do is pass some tests, but me and my buddies are going to do, and then you get your 50 grand. And if not, we'll probably figure out what it's from. So you guys should do it. They say they'll do it under one stipulation. Jerry agrees to let the sphere fly down to their headquarters as long as their son Terry can come with the sphere and it doesn't leave his sight. The Enquirer's like, sure, why not? And they send the plane. The plane takes them to the Enquirer headquarters in Lantana, Florida. I didn't know. I thought they'd have their headquarters in like New York or something, but Lantana, Florida. And before they put the sphere up into the blue ribbon panel, which they kept calling it the blue ribbon panels, these scientists that are going to look at it, it had to undergo a series of tests to see if it was worth their time. So Jerry opens up the bowling ball bag to reveal the sphere, gives it to the scientists, and let them do their thing. After a couple hours, someone from the Enquirer bursts into the room looking for Terry. Terry, we just got off the phone. There's been an accident. You got to go home. Your mom needs you. Head home right away. So he tries to call. They're calling nonstop at the house, so it's busy. So they say, we'll give you the jet. We'll be ready to leave in 50 minutes. Just jump on our jet. So he gets on the plane. They drop him off at the Jacksonville airport and leave. Terry calls home for a ride. Jerry picks up the phone, surprised to hear Terry's voice. I heard there was an accident, Mom. What? I had to rush home. She's like, no, I'm fine. And then Jerry's like, oh, fuck, they tried to separate you from the ball. What the fuck, dude? Go back. You got to go back to Lantana right now. Terry gets back in the National Enquirer headquarters a day later, like overnight, busts up to the office of John Webb, who is one of the bigwigs there. I want my sphere back now. They literally like, what? It'll be fine. Don't you trust us? Like the National Enquirer literally said to them, don't you trust us? Come on, man. Hynek works for us. You don't fucking trust the National Enquirer. What? It'll be fine. Then they say the blue ribbon panel's in the middle doing tests right now. Tomorrow or maybe the next day, we're going to do like a press conference. We'll discuss the results then, and we'll give it back to you then. So Terry just tries to get back into their offices to go like steal it back or whatever. He couldn't get in, so he had to wait till the press conference. And he gets to the press conference. This is April 20th, by the way. So it's less than a month since this thing's been found. I just want everyone to know it's been to the National Enquirer now. He shows up at the press conference. At the press conference, sorry, there's press from all over the place. There's also like Navy guys there for some reason. There's some NASA representatives there. They say there's some shady looking people that they don't really know where they're from, but they're not media. They're just standing kind of in the background. So that could be anyone. When Terry shows up, the press notices him and they say like, "Hey, Terry, is there any good tricks that you could get the ball to show us?" And Terry goes, "Yeah, I got a great one." Then he runs up to the ball, puts it in the bowling ball bag, and walks out the back door. He made it disappear. That was the trick. No one stopped him. I like, this is crazy to me. He just ran up at a press conference, stole it back, and left. Anyways, that's what Jerry and Terry say. There's one surviving photo from the blue ribbon thing, so you know what actually happened. But apparently, anything else that was all the photo or video taken from that press conference were confiscated by the Navy, never to be seen again by anybody. I'm sure there's in a file folder somewhere in some military base somewhere, but if anybody has any of these photos, let me know. Let someone know, because we're all interested. I'm interested.
I just can't believe that the National Enquirer got this entire group of like renowned scientists. NASA's there. I mean, we're talking about the Enquirer.
Exactly.
But they've got like, really bad, not even Photoshop. They like cut out a picture of a dog and put a baby head on it. And so that's the cover.
See, Hynek says he worked for them because they had money and he wanted research money. A lot of these guys, that's a big thing with scientists. If you're going to work at a university, you're only going to get so much resource, right? These guys were essentially unlimited resource. Plus, all the stuff they're interested you don't have to search it out. It's coming to you now, right? Yeah. So that was kind of the carrot for the scientists. Now, Hynek, I believe, this is where I say Hynek was probably still working for the government. I think he's the one getting the Navy to come and getting NASA to come to this press conference. He's the guy going like, "You got to see this fucking thing, right? Get out here now." But yeah, it's all for money. But publicly, Hynek denies that, and it says it was man-made. Here's a quote from his 1977 book, The UFO Experience, A Scientific Inquiry. Hynek says that none of the 5 scientists now think the ball is anything but man-made. None will go as far as to say it's extraterrestrial. That would be putting their scientific reputations on the line. Maybe they thought it was weird, but they weren't willing to say it's extraterrestrial, which that makes sense. That's the official line that Hynek goes with. When he's talking with the Betzes in private, apparently, he's convinced that the sphere was definitely from outer space somewhere, like it was extraterrestrial. Like, this guy was a believer, for sure. Now, when Jerry gets the sphere back, her and Terry think that looks the exact same. It's the exact same sphere, but it's not doing anything anymore. It's magnetic still. It's not gaining magnetism. It's still magnetic, but it's not rolling away and rolling back anymore.
The government killed it.
Yeah. Terry was separated for like 2 days. And I don't know. So and then now this is about a month in. They're less than a month into this, and people are hearing more and more about this. The phone's bringing more and more. It starts bringing out the fucking weirdos, right? Like, Jerry says that at one point, her son-in-law, who's the cop, got asked to give her, he was like stopped in the street, I guess, in Jacksonville, being like, or wherever the fuck it was, being like, "Hey, can you give me a ride to the Betz house? I'll pay you $1,000. And they was like, "Okay." So that's like $5,000 nowadays. So he just drove them out there. And then when they get to the house, they knock on the door and they go, "Hey, we'll buy the sphere for $750,000 right now, sight unseen."
Yes.
She said no.
It's broken. I'd sell it if it's not doing
I
its
would
tricks
have sold
anymore.
it too. That's $3 million, $3.5 million
Yeah,
nowadays money.
And I mean, like, I'm Jerry. I know it's alive and I know it loves me. Yes.
So even though it's alive and it's your little best friend, you'd still sell it?
Even though it would destroy my relationship with my 15 children, I would absolutely sell Jeffrey the living sphere alien.
Yeah, she said these guys were creepy though, and they had like Eastern European accents, and she couldn't really figure out what accent it was, and they were like,
"Fine, I don't care."
I don't know. She said they're creeped right the fuck out.
Their accent isn't. The money's not going to sound like their accent.
Okay, I would probably sell it too. I thought about it a lot. I'd probably sell it too. Like, it's just a piece of fucking steel. It's rolling around, big deal.
You know how much money that would be now if she had invested that?
And she would have. She would have. She'd be way more rich than she already is. So. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Swift transport, it'd be Jerry transport.
Probably. Betz gets there faster with Betz transport.
Nice. Great simile, bro.
You cocksucker. Okay. She's getting like more and more paranoid. Apparently, like some guys came to her house to fix her septic tank and they had to go in and out to flush toilets and stuff. So like she's whatever. She's just so they were digging it up. They had it all dug up and they came in. She turned around, the guy was fucking coming at her or something like that. She had to close the door and she thought the guy was gonna fucking like she locked the door behind her. She thought the guy was gonna fucking throw her in the septic tank over the fucking sphere. And then I guess somebody came in the room and they ran off. She's getting crazy people like that. And then she keeps hearing like clicks on her phone line. She's saying she's thinking her phone line's tapped. She's getting paranoid. So she decides like this fucking sphere is freaking me out here. I'm gonna get it x-rayed again. And she pays the money, goes to get it x-rayed. When she gets the x-rays back, they don't look the same as the x-rays from the government. They have like it looks like shavings on the inside. It's not little spheres. And there's a big line that goes from top to bottom on the thing as if it had been cut in half and put back together. She couldn't tell that it was put back together. Like you just by looking on the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell, but with the x-ray, it looks like someone had fucked with it, cut it in half. When she sees these x-rays, she gets actually like terrified. She's like, uh-oh, what do I know too much now. So she's scared that she wasn't supposed to like see the government x-rays. So she knows they did something to them. So she like, this is what she says. She burns the new x-rays that she got to like cover up that she even got them, that she even knew because she's scared for her kids' lives and whatever else, which is fair.
Well, good thing that helped cover up, and now nobody ever knows she got those extras.
Yeah, I it's what I think too. I think that was foolhardy. It's not really that smart. You're not saving yourself. If they know that you have the sphere, they're watching you enough to know you went and brought it to get a fucking x-ray. Like, I don't know.
Right.
After that, she stops giving interviews. She burns the x-rays. Jerry and the Betz family say the attention the sphere brought to their lives wasn't worth it. Today, actually, no one really knows where the sphere actually is. Sources inside the Betz family say that the sphere is still with them, but like under the care of somebody that they trust, they know.
But I thought it was dead. Like fucking bury it. If it got cut in half, and
That's true.
I feel like she made up that last cover story because she's like, "Nah, we got it."
No, that's true too.
got it.
Maybe she makes it sound like she wants to tell everyone it's dead to protect their little baby sphere. I got that too. Their little
100%.
egg.
Oh, that's a good move. Or it successfully was sold to a couple Eastern European sounded dudes, and it's now in Vladimir Putin's bedroom, and he uses it to gag Trump when he's fucking him in the ass.
Okay. That took a turn. I like it.
Yeah.
Could be that. Could be that.
Could be that. Could be. Why not? Why not? It's as logical as any of the other ones. It's as logical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just wish there was 2 podcasts recently that did like a whole fucking like Astonishing Legends did probably 8 hours on this fucking subject. Oddball, not so much, but like
What'd they figure out? The Vladimir Putin thing?
yeah, they definitely did. They figured out nothing. But what they
came
talked to the
that too?
Betzes. Why would they just give up the sphere so we can do more tests on it with today's technology? We could figure out some shit on it now. Then I don't know what it is from the 70s technology. Like till then, we get a regurgitated story with tons of speculation, which is like my favorite. So here is the theories on this one.
I think we should start selling souvenir private dick Betz spheres,
We should
like branded. Yeah.
like little BB-8s that like have little gyroscopes on the inside so they roll around themselves.
Yeah, but they should actually be Getz spheres. Like
There you
you're
go.
joking, and they should be made out of duct tape. And when you unravel them, it's just a picture of Rick going like this.
They're made to order.
Yeah.
You guys got any crazy theories? I'll go through the quick. There's 3 or 4 theories on this one.
Yeah. My theory is it's 22 pounds of steel.
It's a pretty good theory. It's a pretty good theory. It's one of the theories that comes up, so I'll tell you all about that in a minute.
My theory is it's 22 pounds of steel that fucks like a stallion and loves like a champion, and that's with Jerry forever.
Okay. Sounds about right. Okay, so one of the early theories on this fucker was that it was part of Sputnik, one of the Sputnik satellites that went up, just because it was fear. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen what Sputnik looked like. I'll show you. I could see why people would be like, that was just Sputnik.
Oh, that's fucking crazy. I could see why people would say that, but also the timing is weird.
That's what Sputnik 1 looked like. Okay, it's like a sphere with fucking like antennas on it. It looks like fucking. You could listen to Sputnik apparently.
Yeah,
too.
but I don't think that would fit in a bowling ball bag.
It's also got a seam.
That's what the problem.
Yeah,
is.
that's bigger than a poodle. 100%. That's bigger than a poodle.
Bigger than a poodle.
Yeah. What if it's that dog they shot up there and it went through like a black hole or some kind of warp thing and that's why it was so friendly, is because it was actually Laika, the Russian dog they murdered.
Yeah, that was fucking
it-
sad. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up. You know what people really love in podcasts?
Welcome.
Dead animals. It's their favorite. It's my favorite.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's you've never been guilty of bringing that up before, Mister. I live next to a road, and how many dogs my parents killed? LOL, LOL.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing what you did. What I'm saying is thanks for bringing it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
I forgot about that fucking dog. Did that dog ever make it back in?
Well, no, it's not dead. It transmutated into that steel ball. That's all I'm saying. Like that's what space did to it.
They were playing fetch with it when they rolled it.
Yeah.
Like it died.
But did it come back and like did it make it?
No.
That's what I mean.
No,
Burned up in the
they
atmosphere?
shot a dog into space.
Is it floating in space is
They
the question
shot-
I'm asking. Is there a frozen dead dog in some fucking space debris just floating towards Mars right now?
Didn't they just do an apology about that recently?
Probably. Sounds like
I don't know. There's a statue of it, I think, somewhere.
We were watching some show, and they were talking about Leica, and I actually told my wife about it, and we had to actually look it all up because she got pretty emotional.
Well, if they did apologize for it, thank God, because that was the only thing Russia had left to apologize for.
yeah,
so-
especially this past few years. You know what I mean? Let's
Yeah.
let's just apologize for that.
Yeah, so the dog died in space.
Yeah, it's sad. Anyway, so yeah, no, you're right. There's seams on the fucking Sputnik. There's no antenna on the thing. It looks like the Betz Sphere was just seamless. It wouldn't have looked like that. But then they said, well, maybe it's the next one the Russians put up. Like maybe highly doubtful. It was too uniform for it to be something that would transmit. Like you'd be able to figure out what the radio waves were if it was something useful. But it's not Sputnik. But I could see why people would have thought it was that. Next theory, some piece of industrial machinery. There's a few theories that go about exactly what this is and that side of things. Some say it could be a pig used to clean out big industrial pipes, like a big thing you roll through. They're called a pig. You roll it through a pipe to like clear out blockages.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, why is pig likely, but my dog one wasn't? I was gonna be mad.
Yeah, no, that's why it explains like it's not a perfect 8 inches or wide, or just the size of it's a little bit smaller than what a pipe would be, so it could fit through the. Anyways, probably not that, because do pigs usually move around by themselves? I don't think so. Another theory on the industrial machinery stuff is the ball check valve for like a mill that had been scrapped 15 years before. On April 18th, a few weeks after the press got on the Sphere, Lottie Robinson recognized the Sphere from the news because she had one that was extremely similar in her garage that had been sitting there for 15 years. Technicians from the St. Regis Pulp and Paper Company milled identified Lottie's Sphere as a ball check valve used when milling wood chips into pulp that was used to make paper. Lottie's son had found the Sphere at a scrap dealer after the factory had shut down, bought it, and left it in his mom's garage for years. After Lottie's story about her Sphere was being reported on, Robert Edwards got wind of it. Edwards was the president of the Jacksonville, Florida Equipment Supply Company. He called the media and said he wanted to show them something. So a UPI reporter showed up. Edwards had a brand new ball weighing just over 21 pounds and 8 inches wide. It was a product that he sold, and it was exactly the same size as the Betz Sphere. Edwards was quoted in this article, "I'm not saying that this thing didn't come from outer space because I've never seen it. All I'm saying is that the physical description of it matches exactly the type of ball we have in stock." So that sounds more like it.
What was this place's name? Because I want to buy one.
You want to buy, it's just a big industrial sphere. It's like
That's
a
fine.
ball mill. You can buy I'll show you. I'll send you links. I'll show you.
Ball
I
mill.
work. Yeah, a ball mill ball.
I'm gonna see if I can get mine to follow me around.
Okay, you train it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta put like a magic hat on it or something and name it, and then
All
it'll
right.
follow you around.
There's actually a short video clip of it following one of the kids around.
Oh, cool.
If you look on YouTube, but it's kind of sketchy because you see the carpet and it looks like it's almost a little bit curved, like a track.
The carpet's like a track. Yeah.
It looks like a track, but then it turns left and it starts following, and that's all you see. You just see it roll down behind somebody comes walking up, follows it. They go left on the carpet, and the ball goes left, and then that's the end of the clip. That's all you'll see.
Man, I think cell phones ruined magic.
Yeah, I think you're
That's why
right.
there's no magic in the world anymore.
I knew you were bringing us a case about magic.
So yeah, there's other people saying they saw spheres, big metal spheres like that. But okay, so the company that sells these spheres and the factory was like miles away from where they found the sphere. So how the fuck would the sphere get there? How would it get to Florida like that? So some Coca-Cola delivery driver said that he saw similar spheres in a sculpture outside of a hotel managed by artist James Derling Jones in Taos, New Mexico. Jones made a bunch of steel sculptures that used the same size metal balls. Where did he get them? Well, the driver informed Derling Jones about the spheres, and Jones started to talk about his spheres to the press. He got the stainless steel ball valves from a scrap dealer friend in 1971. Some of that were the exact same size of the Betz Sphere, and others that were not. So he had like 10-inch ones that were 70 pounds, and the 8-inch ones were 22 pounds. He filled up his little Volkswagen van with balls, these steel balls, so many that he had to strap some to the top of his fucking van. And as he passed by Jacksonville, at one point, some of them fell off the top of his roof rack. And that's why they're in Florida. Just driving down a fucking fire road in the middle of fucking nowhere, fell off into the bush 2 kilometers in. Let's just say neither the Navy nor Hynek and his 5 scientists observed the ball do anything unusual. Hynek by himself did. Neither corroborated Carl Williston's assertion that it had odd magnetic properties. Neither corroborated the signals, the radio signals either. In fact, I can't even tell if Carl Williston is a real guy. His name was Wilson in some articles with 1 L. It was Wilson, 2 L's. It was all over the fucking place with his name. Omega One Consultants, the place that he worked with or whatever, doesn't seem to exist either. Hynek did agree about the rattling when you shook it, but that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. You could see them in the X-ray. In fact, our friend, the artist James Derling Jones, the guy who got the spheres in Florida, explains the rattling. He says that it's when people at the factory have to patch the sphere, they'll drill a hole into the sphere and re-weld it. And sometimes the scrapings from the drill will get stuck inside of the hollow sphere. As logical as this theory sounds, it has like a bunch of holes in it, though. So first of all, with everything I just told you, before I discount some of that, one question remains. How does the sphere roll around by itself, Richard? 22 pounds. That's a lot of force.
There's a really strong hamster inside of it.
Yeah, that could
Got
be
it.
it. The Navy just said it was, like I said, because there was grooves in the fucking ground or it's uneven. That doesn't really explain why it rolled uphill, but cool. Even if you decide the floor was funky, like doesn't defy gravity. There's a couple other things. The artist, Derling Jones, the balls fell off his Volkswagen van and rolled 2 kilometers into dense bush and to be found 3 years later. I feel like that seems a little far-fetched, you know? It's not even a road. It's a burn line. Like you'd have to be fucking just in your little van driving through the middle of the bush with that would be outrageous. The next thing we could discount from this is neither Lottie Robinson or Robert Edwards have photos of their balls. We only have accounts, and according to Jerry, and the Robinson ball wasn't even shiny, and it wasn't even the same size. She went and like looked into it. It wasn't even. It was like smaller, but and then the other guy, the Robert Edwards, sorry, the UPI reporter is the only one that saw the ball that he brought out for them. But like he's a reporter working for a paper. You figure you'd take pictures and be like, see, look, the ball's the exact same size. No pictures, just an article. So I don't know. It seems not that good. Like it doesn't explain everything. But a lot of this too, like you said, that little video was the first video I saw. I didn't even see that video that you just showed me, Tyler, of it actually moving. And you're right, it does look sketchy as shit. It does look like there's grooves in the ground, but the rest of it's like all people saying it. There's not lots of video, right? And I'm not saying it's just the Betz family that's saying that this thing moved on its own, because when the reporters and stuff showed up at first, they were saying they saw it move too. It's not just those people. And the reporters, what do they have to gain by saying it moves around? I guess like a good story. I don't know. A lot of this is hearsay. I'm leaning towards it's probably a ball mill ball that got over exaggerated over time. But I mean, some stuff doesn't really add up to me either. That's part of it. Any thoughts on this machinery stuff? before I move to the next one.
I don't know if I found that exactly, but I did find ball bearings on eBay that I can apparently buy for $5 each.
There you go.
For sure.
I don't know how big they are though.
Well, look at the
Oh,
pen.
that one is.
There's no poodle to show size.
No
I get it, but there's a
poodle.
pen.
I need a poodle. I don't know how
Need a-
big this
need a
is.
poodle. You know, they could be the ball check valve, and it was the ghost.
Oh shit! It's a combo. The possessed fucking ball check valve.
It was probably just like, you know what? They're not paying attention to my doors or my organ music. Let's take things up a notch and get this thing moving.
That's a fucking that I didn't even cross my mind at that. That's a great thinking outside the box answer. I fucking like that. Yeah, that's fucking great. That's on my list. I think that might be the solve I'm going with at the end of this. There's literally one more left. It's just that it's extraterrestrial because of all the stuff I said earlier.
Yeah.
And it was like a little.
I don't believe in aliens, but I think that's that one because it sounds a lot to me like Steven Spielberg stole E.T. from this family. Like the whole story of E.T. is just this family and this ball.
So you heard the story of the Betz Sphere and wrote E.T.
Yeah. He stole it, because I bet the ball was like, it said something like shiny ball phone call, and he's like,
Shiny
E.T.
ball phone call.
Tiny ball phone call.
Yeah. You like that simile?
Fuck you,
Yeah.
cocksucker.
Wasn't the dude who invented Close Encounters of the Third Kind, wasn't he actually in the movie?
Hynek was in the movie. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was staring off in the distance when the things.
So he knew Spielberg.
He did. He did know Spielberg. Spielberg
Yeah.
got him to consult for. That's why he got a cameo in that movie. So maybe Spielberg's like, "You're here for a cameo, but the real work starts now." And they pulled out a pad of paper, like
And started writing.
Elliot. What do you think of Elliot?
Let me ask you one question. What does this ball think of Reese's Pieces?
Can you believe they approached, what was it, M&M's or Smarties? And they turned,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
and what a disastrous mistake.
I do really, really, really like the possessed ball by the ghost theory. It's like, that's a fantastic. Didn't even cross my mind.
Well, it'd be another feather in the cap of us being hired to help people come to their own conclusions.
It's only happened a couple times.
I really want to walk away from this thanking you for helping me figure it out.
We're like moral support rather than private investigators.
Yeah. We just say a bunch of stupid shit and you're like, it clears up the air for your like logical
I'm like,
thinking.
wow, these guys don't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
That's the clip I'm using right at the beginning of the episode. These guys don't know the clip. That's what I'm for sure. That's fantastic. Well, I like that. I don't know what, Rick, you got any other theories? I know you want to buy a ball, but you got any other
Yeah, no, I don't have any other theories. I do probably think it's something industrial like that. I just think it's weird how so many people gave a shit about this sphere just because it might have moved around. But what's weird is I've been looking at their the property where their house was. There's no address that points to it, and I can't find a record that an address ever actually pointed to it. I'm sure at some point it did, it just never made it into the digitized form. But it's very weird because there's real house numbers everywhere around them except for smack dab in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, that's why you have to wave down a police officer, pay them $1,000 to take. Fine.
Oh man. Well, what are we gonna go with? Actually, Cave. Sorry. Now that you said that, I'll answer that. You can't believe so many people gave a shit about this. Like I said, it's all fucking Dick Nixon's fault of oversaturated Watergate coverage that this made it national news. So people gave a shit about it. That's literally it was Easter weekend, slow day, and that's the only reason people cared. Otherwise, it probably would have been a little local story, a little good time story, and gone away to be found again by J. Allen Hynek of our time to be make a podcast about it. Look at this small case, but this was huge at its time. So, but only for less than a year. I think this went on for 7 months or something like that, 8 months maybe, from the first article I could find to the last article I could find.
I'm just saying, I have her phone number if we want to ask her where the fuck she's hiding this thing.
Just tell her your name is Rick Betz, a distant cousin. And
hey,
I'll
this is
take care of it
Richard
for you.
Stoodle.
Yeah.
No, I'll call her later. Don't worry about it.
I hope you do. If you do, can you record it?
I'm not going to call her.
I know you
Oh.
won't.
She's nice.
She's an old lady. I'm not gonna call her.
Yeah.
Yeah, how old is it?
She was born in 1933, so she'd be almost 100 years
God
old.
damn.
95 years old now, 90 or I guess 90 years old, 91 years
90.
old.
Yeah, holy shit. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Hey, I'm with the
Yeah,
Navy.
you
We found you, bitch.
Yeah.
Just give her a heart attack on the spot.
That's awesome.
We know where you're hiding, Jeffrey.
We named him Jeffrey. That's good. They actually had a name for it. I fucking didn't write it down.
Oh, well, I just renamed it.
Okay, well, anything else? What are we going with the solve? What are we sending Tyler off on his way? Are we doing ET phones home, like the Spielberg connection? We doing the possessed ball from the ghost? We just doing a boring old, it's mechanical, it's a piece of machinery. What do you guys think? My vote's the fucking possessed ball. I enjoy that theory a lot.
You know goddamn well I'm always only gonna vote for my own answer.
Okay.
No, I do like the possessed ball thing. I think what's interesting is that she said it stopped rolling around after it was supposedly cut. And now there's just these unknown questions of what the hell was in that ball. Like some spirit jumped into it, cut it open.
Bunch of ufologists or whatever nowadays talk about how those little shards were like something that's off the periodic table now, about element 140. So like, I don't fucking know. How do you measure
What's
that?
element 140?
It's nothing. It's something that's so like far off from our
Oh,
understanding.
the atomic scale or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. And you
Atomic-
forgot to mention it had two poles, two north poles and two south pole magnetic poles in it, which is technically impossible.
See, that was hard for me to wrap my brain around.
See, I want to buy one now. Some company built a really cool ball bearing.
Yeah. I'm going with possessed. Are we good with going with possessed? Rick, RJ, I know you're upset about it, but do you want to go with Spielberg
Nah, I'm
possessed
never
it?
happy. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay, well, that's it. The solve then. Tyler, thanks for coming up with it yourself.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fantastic. Good
I'm
work.
here.
There's still like a bill that you're gonna have to pay for our services, but I mean, I think 30 days. 30 days, no big deal. You got lots of time.
I just watched Private Dicks, and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.
I just narrate. This is how I talk, and people still think I'm AI. So
I don't think you're AI. But-
I wish.
Yes.
Holy
No,
shit.
I thought you were just that pen guy from Penn and Teller. That was the first thing I thought when I walked in
That is
here.
Pendulette. I don't. There's a lot of celebrity lookalikes where you tell somebody and they'll go, "Oh, thanks." One of them is not Pendulette.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was his last name. I just know him as Penn from Penn and Teller. But yeah, I don't know enough about him to have jokes on hand.